many deaths I'll sing. Gliding o'er all, gliding over everything. Gliding o'er all, through nature, time and space, as a ship on the waters advancing, the voyage of the soul, not life alone. Death, many deaths I'll sing. Whitman used that phrase, I'll sing, right from the very beginning of the whole of Leaves of Grass. If you go right back to the beginning, he sings the song of America, he sings the song of democracy, he sings the song of life. So he sings of life, he sings of death. He has this approach to everything, which is really above everything else, to appreciate it in the first place. So he appreciates the value of death. He appreciates the value of life. He appreciates reincarnations of the soul, maybe. Maybe. Not life alone. Death. Many deaths I'll sing. Now, I'm pretty certain he wrote this, I think he wrote this before the American Civil War. And I'm quite sure that, during the American Civil War and after the American Civil War, his view of death had been profoundly affected. I mean, he saw huge numbers of people die during the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865. So that would have affected anybody. So let's go to another poem by Walt Whitman. I'd like to welcome my good friend, Fireman Rich. Very, very good friend. Just come in from New York. Just come in from the state of New York. Your grandfather was born in 1875 in Mississippi. Wow, that's a great spread. No one's seen war like it up to that time. No, the American Civil War was the most terrible war in human history. It still ranks up there with one of the most terrible wars in the whole of human history. You know, it was not a small, piddly little war fought out during 1 or 2 summers in the middle of nowhere. No, the American Civil War was enormous. And the number of people who died and were injured on both sides is just enormous. So this is another poem by Walt Whitman called Hast Never Come to Thee an Hour. Hast never, brother fighting brother. Yeah, I don't know enough about the American Civil War, I must say. I feel I keep trying to learn little extra bits about it, to learn more about it. But there seems to be an awful lot to learn. Hast never come to thee an hour, by Walt Whitman. Hast never come to thee an hour, a sudden gleam divine, precipitating, bursting all these bubbles, fashions, wealth. These eager business aims, books, politics, art, amours, to utter nothingness. I must just make sure that my phone doesn't go and die in the middle of the scope. I have an iPhone and it's taken to collapsing and dying. I'm not a literature professor. I'm not any kind of a professor. I'm struggling with how to keep an iPhone from falling over. You wouldn't believe it. I'm using a bottle of olive oil to prop the phone up against my computer.
Hi, and thanks for joining today. I'm Maureen, where we look at the serious gaps in the B2B sales and marketing continuum.
Excuse me.
The inimitable argument.
Okay, right. This is not terribly impressive. Trying to. Oh, I'm getting cross here. Okay. I can see you. You can see me, and I'm going to read you Walt Whitman again. Right. So here we go with a short poem called "Hast Never Come to Thee an Hour." Hast never come to thee an hour. Hast never come to thee an hour, a sudden gleam divine, precipitating, bursting all these bubbles, fashions, wealth? These eager business aims, books, politics, art, amours, to utter nothingness. Well, to utter nothingness. Seems like there could have been more to this one. Oh, you know, short little poems, yeah. I think you're right, there could have been more to it, and maybe there is more to it. Maybe he incorporated the same, some of the same kind of thinking into one of the other poems. Who knows? A sudden gleam divine, precipitating, bursting all these bubbles, fashions, wealth. These eager business aims. These eager business aims. Hi, Dawn. Books, politics, art, amours, to utter nothingness. Okay, another poem. I'm going to read 3 more poems. Just three more. And at that point, I think the chances of poetry influencing the result of the American election, well, we've done our best. So here's a thought by Walt Whitman, the greatest of the American poets, right? In his book, Leaves of Grass, his whole collected poetical works. Of equality. So this is a thought about equality, of equality. As if it harmed me, giving others the same chances and rights as myself. As if it were not indispensable to my own rights that others possess the same. Good on you, Rich. Good on you. Here are some thoughts by Walt Whitman about equality. And there are 2 sides to the issue as far as Walt Whitman is concerned. 2 sides to the issue. Here we go. As if it harmed me, giving others the same rights, the same chances and rights as myself. As if it harmed me, giving others the same chances and rights as myself. As if it were not indispensable to my own rights that others possess the same. Really, really powerful thinking. Really powerful thinking. A bit like saying, look, as if it could damage me if other people had the same rights as myself and were equal to me. As if that could damage me. And then to say, as if it wasn't essential to my own rights that other people have the same rights as me. What was the name of Walt Whitman's poem about men following men who weren't following men? Well, I think you mean, I'm not sure if you're talking about the poem Thought, which we read a few minutes ago. the line in that one is goes, profoundly affecting in large masses of men, following the lead of those who do not believe in men. But I'm not sure. I have a memory like a sieve. Yeah, that was the first one. But it may refer to another one. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find thought on Google. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. These are really short poems. Maybe if you put in Walt Whitman thought of equality, see what you get on Google if you try Walt Whitman on equality even. Of equality, I'll read it again. Of equality. As if it harmed me, giving others the same chances and rights as myself, as if it were not indispensable to my own rights that others possess the same. This one is called Thought. Yeah, there are, in fact, in the ones I've read so far, there are 1, 2, 3. Three of the 5 poems. No, 3 of the 6 poems are called in this volume Thought. See, sometimes Walt Whitman changed the names of the poems, but I have a good one coming up. And it's a poem called To Old Age. To Old Age. And it's one of my favourites. You followed me. Oh, great. Ah, good. Thought, great. So this little poem is, if you want to look this up, you can find Walt Whitman on, To Old Age. I'm reading from the 1892 edition, the deathbed edition. And you're quite right, there are a number of editions. I think it was about 6 editions of Leaves of Grass. So in some of the earlier editions, he changed the orders of the poems. So this little poem I'm going to read you now is called To Old Age. It's even shorter than any of the other ones. It's almost no longer than a haiku. I see in you the estuary that enlarges and spreads itself grandly as it pours in the great sea. So this is a poem addressing old age. So this is what Whitman says about and to old age. And I don't know when he wrote it. I see in you, old age, I see in you the estuary that enlarges and spreads itself grandly as it pours in the great sea. As it pours in the great sea. I see in you the estuary that enlarges and spreads itself grandly as it pours in the great sea, life flowing into the pool of consciousness. Yeah. The word I love in that tiny short poem is grandly, as it spreads itself grandly, as it pours in the great sea. Anyway, that's me fell in love with that poem. The first time I read it was on the 1st of November 2015. I do things like I write little notes in the margin of poems, giving my reaction to the poem at the first time I read it. So I thought that one was pretty good. Oh, you're very welcome, Dawn. You're very welcome. Glad you like it. Yeah, I see in you the estuary that enlarges and spreads itself grandly as it pours in the great sea. Oh, you're very good. The last one, the very last one I'm going to read. Yeah.